Greetings, SciFiction awesomeness. My name is Owen C. Cotter, and you're watching SciFiction digitally simulcasting on X, YouTube, Twitch, and of course, Facebook. Today, here within about the next 10, 15 minutes, we're going to have an amazing guest. His name is writer Mark Russell. He has a really cool comic graphic novel he's going to be talking about, sci-fi related, so stay tuned. We're going to go over a few news updates. We will be doing some amazing things over the next few months. We're going down to Ireland on May 24th through June 3rd for an amazing event. My client and good buddy, Chris McCauley, writer as well in comics and pop culture and board games and everything else you can imagine, and for everything from Star Trek, Doctor Who, you name it, is going to be honored at the Ballymena Academy and the library dedication ceremony, as well as some other things on the grid. In June, we're going to be going to ICCC, the Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And next week, by the way, on Friday, I believe it's May 22nd, at about this time, we're going to have Michael Havens, the founder of ICCC, on the broadcast. So join us for that. Also, on May 20th, I'm going to be on John Goodwin of Galaxy Press, Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. So check that out. If you're listening on Lisbon or any streaming platforms and his platform, check that out on Galaxy Press and Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. That's on May 20th. And then after May 22nd, when we talk with Michael, 2 days later, we're getting on a plane and we'll be gone for like almost bumping right under 2 weeks to Europe, to Ireland. So we'll be pretty busy. And then after the ICCC, then after that, looking at doing maybe some programming and some things, special things over at San Diego Comic-Con, the best one, the crown jewel, one of the biggest ones in the country, definitely the biggest one on the West Coast. And after that, we are looking at going to a very prestigious and awesome event we always love going to, cover STLV 60, the 60th anniversary Star Trek related event down there at the Rio Hotel All and Suites Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Absolutely amazing event. They've been doing this for many, many decades. They always put on the biggest, the bestest, the biggest pack, the biggest punch, and the most guests and most programming, and very creative programming at that. Like last year, they had where you could watch the movies on big jumbo screens in the hotel. And it was a big family of just the awesomeness. Everything is Star Trek related. There's a little bit of everything this year. There's been some other, last year they had Sam J. Jones from Flash Gordon. They had some stuff from Battlestar, a little bit of Star Wars last year too, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, had some people that like Star Trek and Star Wars. So there you go. And I got a lot of fans here, of course, on the SciFiction channel that are interested in these type of topics as well. So I want to thank you for being on the broadcast and joining us in the broadcast here. Here shortly, Mark Russell will be joining us. I'm going to bring up the chat window here and see if any questions are popping up. We do have some people streaming in and while watching this live stream. I want to just double check something right quick. And simulcasting, yes, we are good. Waiting on Mark to join us. We will go over a few news updates. We went over, for people joining us, my name is Owen C. Cotter, and you are watching SciFiction digitally simulcasting on about 4 or 5 platforms here, including Facebook, Twitch, X, and YouTube. People join us. We will be coming to you after the dedication ceremony in Ireland from ICCC, the Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention. Let me bring that up real quick. It's a really, really cool event. We've been going to it for years. I believe this... The event this year is the 8th anniversary. Yes, it is the 8th. 35 days, barely much over a month to go until we get ICCC underway. Michael Havens, the founder, will be on next week on May 20th, so stay tuned for that as well. Here is the site, ICCC, ICCollectorsconvention.com, rather, a hub of the ICCC. The event's amazing. It's got a little bit of everything. I will bring this up a little bit bigger. This is the event that we will be at in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's just amazing. They have a cosplay contest. It's a big family of everybody from collectors, retro, vintage, Star Wars, sci-fi. You know, it's one of the, if not the biggest, pop culture sci-fi event in this part of the Tennessee area. And it's a lot of fun. They have a big family. They have a podcast stage, which I believe we're going to be doing programming on the podcast stage as well on Friday, I believe, at 2 or 3 p.m. We'll be there for about an hour on the podcast stage talking about all the sci-fi and pop culture goodies. This is episode 8 at the Embassy Suites. It's a massive Embassy Suite. They got like a 20, 30,000 square foot vendor hall. You see it right there. That's just the game room up top. The actual hotel is massive. I'm talking like if you want to get those last 17 Power of the Force figures from the late 80s, if you want to get anything from He-Man, any vintage, anything you want, they have it. They also have amazing cosplayers. The R2 Builders Club is there. A lot of actors and people are going to be at this event, and people are be signing, as well as our good friend Chris McCauley. He was going to be there signing with Bruce Boxleitner and Claudia from Babylon 5, as well as our good friends Rob and Sean Lamb, the writers and storyboard artists for He-Man, She-Ra, Brave Star, and Darkwing Duck, and many, many others, including a Star Wars franchise and some other very well-known franchises that you'll best know. Let's go over their guests real quick while I have some time to kill. Here's our previous guest. Here's this year's guest. This year's guests include a lot of people: Bruce Boxleitner, Claudia, John Ratzenberger from Cheers and Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, William Catt, a whole bunch of people here from this guy, scientist guy there from it was Ahsoka. You got let's see what else we got. That's a good one. It's our buddy Stephen Costantino. He's always good people. Very nice guy. Known him for many years now. Michael Carter, the original Bib Fortuna Lord. This guy here, I really want to talk to him about how he did all this. This is one of the founding fathers of and models and things that were with the original Star Wars trilogy. Luke's going to be there. He's good. He's on the part of. He's on some video games, by the way, too. Robert and Sean Lamb, there they are, right there. You got Nelson Lee, Sean Crawford's cool people. He played the yak face in Jabba's sail barge and palace. Jim Swergan, always fun to talk with him about the toys and the goodies. Paul Darnell, just a lot of guests here. Nelson Hall, interesting to talk to him. He was a interesting original ILM guy too, and did a lot of stuff. Played I believe that was a special edition Tauntaun, or maybe he was the original Tauntaun. I don't know. I have to talk about it. That's been interesting because I know there's one they did redo the special edition when he cut the Tauntaun's armor. Here's Tom O'Connell and Guy Gilchrist. Always fun to talk to. Ron Rudet. I always fun to Sarah Craven. That's a really big actress there. She's in a lot of stuff in anime and all kind of voice acting. Freddie Tomlin. He super nice guy. Had a beautiful conversation with him last year. Yeah, I'll have to reshare his podcast. Again, so people can listen to that. He's very knowledgeable. He created a lot of play sets and things with Kenner toys. Worked on a lot of stuff with Kenner and Nerf guns. Of course, you got Ghostbusters, Jurassic Park, you name it. His panel was absolutely amazing. By the way, they had a lot of cool panels at this in the presentation. Last year, the entire cast of all 4 original Ninja Turtles were on stage for, I think, the first time ever since the original films came out, like in the 80s, late 80s. And it was amazing. We actually have some video footage from that. We need to probably drop some of that on the archives side. We can direct people to that because it's coming up. I'm hoping they put the 3rd film in theaters just like they did the first 2. That'd be pretty cool. Bob Moore, he did some figurines there. This guy here is a sculptor. He did all the sculpts of your favorite toys. Mike Smith, good people. I mean, this is everybody here. This is the Magic Steve. He's a magician, by the way. Super cool dude. I checked out his channel. Billy Martinez, he's going to be there. He's an artist. And there's that, but they're adding all kinds. They're announcing them as podcasts come on. He's been announcing different and more guests. They got the autograph service there, which authenticates. Yeah, it's also icy. He has a toy store, which is totally dope in Nashville. You should check that out. A lot of cool people here. They also have a lot of people that, if you want to collect and you're trying to store your stuff, they have display people there, archival people that grade. You can send off to various things from autographs, toys, AFA. I believe Action Figure Association's there as well. The cosplay stuff's always fun. They have some amazing like Star Wars and sci. This one, I'm sorry, I can get this on. I don't know if I can zoom in on it. You see this right? The Ninja Turtles in the middle. They dress as the rock and roll Ninja Turtles from the action figure line. I thought that was insanely cool. That was about maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago they did that over at ICCCs, and that was actually a lot of fun. That was a fun week. We did a really cool video on that. It's like one of the first videos we uploaded on the new reel on the on the Facebook, but it's we had a page. We had a big following on Star Wars too, which is what we have here. A lot of Star Wars fans on here. That's why I love Star Wars too. So I like to get as many Star Wars related content items promoted and produced on here, as well as Star Trek and Battlestar and Stargate. There's a new Stargate coming out. It's not a reboot. It's a continuation. So I'm really looking forward to having that. That Echosphere. Let me replace screen. I'm going to show you something here on the news updates. Here's SciFiction. We're going to go to SciFiction.com, where if you're watching this transmission, I am Owen C. Cotter, and you are watching SciFiction on the digital awesomeness that is the internet. Let me check one little thing here. We just got something popped up on the intergalactic feed here. We got some things. We got a lot of emails. A lot of people wanting to do interviews. So if you have anybody, if you're a client, you're your client rather, and you're an agent or a PR representative or a manager, and you'd like to be interviewed on this broadcast, and you would like to, have some of your projects debuted. If you're an illustrator, if you're a comics person like writer Mark Russell, if you're doing fan films, if you're in the industry, if you're an actor like anybody from Star Wars or Star Trek or Battlestar or any sci-fi property that's popular, The Boys, Carl Urban, if you're watching, these always cool people. I always like talking to all the guys from The Boys and the gals from The Boys. We actually got to do a really cool interview. This is something I want to show you. This is pretty dope. We backlogged this in the system the other day. We've got the podcast section, and we had an interview. This is a very interesting interview, and it's very powerful. We talked to Black Norm Self actor Nathan Mitchell over at Saturn's, and this interview was like solid gold. And he's actually a nerd. He grew up on. I'm gonna just listen to the podcast. Go to the podcast section, and The Boys Black Noir actor Nathan Mitchell actually is just a super cool cat, man. It's a gentleman. We've interviewed quite several of the actors from The Boys. Interviewed A Train, Jesse Usher. We interviewed Nathan. We interviewed Cameron, who played Homeland. Never interviewed Anthony Starr. Would like to interview him. That'd be a good one. Also interviewed the executive producer of The Boys. A lot of Boys. And the cool thing is, recently, if you like For All Mankind, which is in season 5 now on Apple TV Plus, highly recommend that show if you're into space or alternate futures or sci-fi, anything beyond. We did a 2-part interview segment. Part 1 with executive producers Mark Wolpert and Ben Nimdevi over at Orcon this year. And this was a beautiful sit-down conversation. We broke it into 2 pieces. It was a very short roundtable of maybe 3 people, just me, a gentleman that works in a production publishing thing, and another dude who was dressed as Luke Skywalker for when he won his medal at Yavin with the yellow jacket. I thought it was pretty dope. So, that was a lot of fun. Interview-wise, we're doing a lot more interviews. We're going to be porting in some of these lives into embed segments, too, on the interview section. So stay tuned for that. One of the recent ones we did back in March was with Colonel Eileen Collins of NASA. She was the shuttle commander that docked with the Mir space station, as well as NASA and the first female shuttle commander to pilot and command the space shuttle. It's a lot of fun. Got Mark Guggenheim. He's good. This is one a lot of the interviews are in the YouTube. We port only all the big featured ones here. This is an interesting thing here. If you have not been following what Otoy's been doing with the Roddenberry Archive, the Roddenberry Archive is taking all of the stuff in like due diligence and rebuilding and rendering all the bridges and spaceship, building everything into VR. And I was able to get into VR and see all the stuff in bleeding HD over at the STLV 59 event. So we're looking forward to doing the STLV 60. So hopefully Jules will be down there. If he has anything down there, we'll definitely have to follow up with him and his crew. It was like a kid in a candy store being able to literally like get into VR, walk around all these bridges and spaceships and corridors and be in all this, but then they get to talk to not only just Jules, the CEO, but all the creative people that are building all these amazing sets and archiving all this due diligence and scripts and models and renderings. Everything that was part of the Roddenberry estate is being rendered by Otoy. And we love Roddenberry and all what they do with the foundation and the Otoy people as well. So I recommend checking this interview if you're into that kind of stuff with virtual reality, especially. We also have a new section. I believe Mark might be in the Quantum Leap waiting room, so I'm going to bring him on here within 1 minute. There's a new section on the site. If you scroll all the way down here, you see it says this artificial intelligence is a new system. This section is we're thinking about doing an event in Vegas in around time, like 2 or 3 days before, somewhere in there, before STLV 60. And we wanted it's on AI and how AI is used. It's sci-fi, it's futurism. We do futurism stuff, right? So I'm like, well, why don't we create a section on artificial intelligence? And there's and this is really trending stuff, like the topics. We've got like 20 more articles reporting in from all the writers. The man behind the Lego Iran propaganda, interesting, but Lego collect stuff. Artificial intelligence for the NVIDIA DLSS 5, that's interesting. That's the head of NVIDIA talked about that on the stage not too long ago. The major Asaki, never came out that word, anime studio issues apology and AI controversy deals with anime. How AI is changing sci-fi storytelling, that's a really interesting one. Mikhail Smith did that, one of our other writers. One of our newest writers, super cool guy, did this one. This is a really interesting article. Second brain illusion. Are we getting smarter? Are we just more dependent rather on AI? Interesting things. But enough of that, because we have none other in the Quantum Leap waiting room on the back burner, everyone, Mark Russell. Here we go. me? Can you hear me, Mark?
Yeah, I can. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Greetings. Greetings. No problem, brother. We were going to bring you in on a format some of these things to stop sharing. We get so many buttons and switches here on the Starship Sci-Fiction. How's your day going?
So far, so good. Haven't started up yet, so
That's
going okay
always
by
good,
me.
right? That's always good, man. I was researching you a good bit this morning. You've done a lot of stuff in comics. Just before we get started, you got a new book out coming out. Can you talk a little bit about like your kind of like back history and what people may know you from? You've done a lot.
Oh yeah, no, I've been in comics for about 10 years. I think the first thing I did that people noticed was a series called The Flintstones, which, as you might have guessed, it's
Yes.
about the Stone Age family. But I turned it into my manifesto about why all the places where civilization got wrong. I just sort of blamed it all
Yes.
on bedrock. And I also wrote another Hanna-Barbera comic that was well received called Snagglepuss,
Okay.
about the pink mountain lion, who in my version is like a disgraced New York playwright, like a Southern Gothic playwright who runs afoul of the
Mhm.
McCarthy hearings. And well, I've also written Superman Space Age with art by Mike Allred, Not All Robots, which won an Eisner. Uh, and I recently did Vanishing Point, which is sort of like if they made the mistake of letting me write the Twilight Zone, that's what it would be.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
I've
awesome.
written dozens of titles, and yes, as you see there, the new one that is just coming out on
Yes.
Kickstarter, The Forgotten Divine.
Yes. And that's one of the main things we want to talk about. Just what inspired the idea behind this new book, The Forgotten Divine? What was the genesis of that?
Well, originally I wanted to write a story about a cult because I feel like it's
Okay.
become very relevant. We feel like there's you don't even necessarily have to belong to a religious cult anymore. It just feels like reality is becoming more fractured, and that people
Right.
are being divided into little systems of belief that they can't really convince each other of, that sort of like only resonate with the people who believe in them. But as I started writing it, I realized that it was the story of a cult told from somebody inside the cult. So it's not so much about
Okay.
why our world is divided into cults or why we're becoming more fractured in cult logic, but more about like what people get out of cults, why it's so hard for
Hmm.
people who are in it to leave, and why they first place. And um, it occurred to me, like in a certain way, that it's in a lot of ways a description of what it's like to be an artist or a writer that are seeing these visions that not really explain to other people, but they're sort of make sense of your life. They're sort of what give you the purpose that you your life outside have. These visions might be very, very mundane and not very much fun.
Just curious, what made you want to work with Russ Braun on this project? Have you worked with him before? Or?
No, I never worked with him before, but I've long been an admirer of his work. I love what he did with the boys, and to me, the thing that made him really perfect for this project was he is really good at drawing both sort of like gritty world, sort of
Sure.
like almost crime stories, but also extremely good at drawing metaphysical, very surreal, landscapes and alienscapes, and that's kind of what this story is. It's about the mundane realities of somebody living in the Arizona desert, and basically going from strip mall to strip mall to having these visions of this state that's full of these surreal creatures and things that we can't even begin to describe what they might.
Right. Just curious, like what did you enjoy most about writing like a satire and a sci-fi together? That's a pretty cool combination, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't really set out to write a satire. I mean, I think there are some satiric
Yeah.
elements in it, and I think that comes
Right.
from just me being honest about what it is these characters are thinking. And my rule of humor is that I don't ever want to like try to be funny. What I want to do is to give people the truth quicker than they expected it. I want it to
Yeah.
be punchy and blunt, and that to me is like funnier than somebody trying to set up like a gag or a joke.
For
So
sure.
it comes across maybe a little satirical because of that approach. But I feel like it's very much a sci-fi slash psychological thriller.
Mhm. Is there pictures of the aliens or any of the future stuff in the book? Because I don't think the book's been released yet, I believe, right?
It
Just
is
the kind
not.
of the
It's
cover and stuff.
being kickstarted, so it's
Mhm.
being kickstarted during the month of June. June 2nd is when it launches. But
Nice.
yeah, there are pictures of the aliens in the book, and there's also a lot of the story is a question about whether or not these visions are real or whether or not they are just something that exists inside the head of the people who are having, or maybe they
Oh,
don't exist
okay.
at all and people are just pretending to have these. But as you go through the story, the mystery begins to reveal itself, and there is an answer. There is a very definitive answer at the end.
Yeah.
So I won't leave you
So the
hanging.
Forgotten Divine
You'll get a
is
resolution
could
to
be
the
in
story. What's that?
it could be in their mind. You say it could be something they're imagining it all happened. Is what you're saying? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Wow. So
There's an
this
FBI
is deep.
agent
I was going
who
on.
is also like,
Hmm.
there's an FBI agent who thinks
So it
that's
has
what it is.
almost like an X
That this
file
is just a
feel.
mass hallucination. Yeah.
Hmm. This is the Kickstarter here. When does this launch exactly? Do you know? Can you announce it even?
Yeah. We're planning to launch on June 2nd,
Okay.
and it will
Very cool.
run,
Very
I
cool.
think,
And this will be
till like the end of June.
okay. So it'll be a 1 month long Kickstarter, and this is AHOY Comics, and this says something here. I was reading it. I thought it was really interesting. This says the first ever Kickstarter for a graphic novel, and this is you're an Eisner Award winner, correct? In the you're a Harvey Award winner, right? Or both?
I don't think I've won on a Ringo, and I've won an Ice, and I
Okay,
won a GLAD award, but I
that's
don't
right.
think I've ever won a Harvey. I've been
Yeah,
nominated for
Harveys
it,
are good.
but never that one eludes me.
That's right. In the Wikipedia, yeah. Harvey, you mentioned something about Harvey in the Wikipedia. I was skimming through that this morning. So I was curious. You do a lot of stuff in comics. I mean, go over some of your back. Have you done like stuff like I think you've done Batman too with DC and some other things with Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah, well, I'm working on a Wonder Woman title now, but yeah, I did a book with Mike and Laura all Batman Dark Age, and I've done like a number of DC and Marvel titles. Like I did the Fantastic Four and X Factor for Marvel,
Mhm.
and I love doing it all. But what really means I think the most to me are my creator owned titles, the ones that these are stories made up with characters that I created.
You create, right? It just brings into a question that a lot of people we talk to that are writers, we ask similar questions like this, but just curious, like what keeps you creatively inspired after so many successful comics and projects that you've been working on and all that, over the years.
I think it's whatever keeps me awake at night. Like there's things I can't. Uh, I think about when I'm in the shower, and then what I do is I go, what's
Mhm.
a metaphor for that? What would be like? How would I put this? What would the story be like? A reflection of that.
Right. Which brings to stories like you've been read as a creative, independently owned, and you created these stories. Was there a particular scene or character that was especially fun to write for this particular project in the Forgotten Divine?
Yeah, I think I really wanted to write it from the perspective of Rodney Coleman, who's the main character. He's a veteran of the war in Afghanistan, and not just a like combat veteran, but he was a guy who he was an EOD. So his job was to defuse landmines and improvise explosive devices. His life on the line literally every time he went. It becomes kind of a metaphor for him as this sort of leader of this cult, where he's constantly having to try to decide whether or not he should use a bomb or get the hell away from it. And I feel like
Right.
that's kind of the question about this cult as well.
Yeah. The impact of pop culture. I talk about this with a lot of friends and people I interview. Is so wildly permeated through our culture. Now you've got Comic Cons and big events, and it's every week there's a Comic Con somewhere in the country or somewhere in the world. I just got to ask this: is there anything you personally, with comic books or things you've seen, television series or movies that you're kind of following and enjoying the storytelling separate from your homework?
Oh yeah, no, I'm a huge consumer of pop culture, especially when it comes to science fiction or sort of speculative, sort of I think what
Okay.
I would call them like modern fairy tales. My favorites is Ice Cream Man, the horror comic,
Okay.
sort of horror sci-fi
Mhm.
comic by W. Maxwell Prince, and I'm going to screw up the artist's name, Martin Milazzo, I want to say, but it's an anthology, so every issue is different, tells a different story, but they're all good and they're all feel very unique. It doesn't repeat itself a lot, so I recommend that one.
What is that one about? I've heard of this comic. I've got some list of comics that I need to read. What is that one about exactly? What's some
Well,
image
the
maybe?
common thread is that there's this character, yeah, it's on Image, but there's this character called the Ice Cream Man who is, as the name would suggest, he drives an ice cream truck, and he just sort of shows up in all the stories, but his role is in these stories, other than the fact that he's one guy who understands that there's something untoward happening here. He's the sort of
Hmm.
the crypt keeper, if you
So
will,
he,
for
wow.
these
Okay.
stories. It happens in a different universe. They
That's cool. So it's kind of like a Tales from the Crypt, but instead of the Crypt Keeper,
But
he's
yeah, I
an
really
ice
like
cream
that.
guy. Wow. That's a clever. I'll
Yeah, it
have to check
doesn't set
this one
up
out.
the
He's got
stories.
a
He
lot of
just
issues.
sort of shows up in the middle of the story.
You got a lot of issues here. You've got volumes of these comics ranging going all the way back to looks like to 2022 almost. It's about 5 year run here. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, no,
Is
it
there any
goes back a
TV
ways.
shows or movies?
But so if you're getting into that one, yeah, no, watching the new Netflix series Legends, which about uh, British customs officers, like how to be basically like
Mm,
spies, and these are
yeah.
not really spies. They're the civil servants. They're used to checking like suitcase, and suddenly they're out basically like James Bond, and it's really kind of cool. I'm only 3 episodes in, but the writing's really crisp, and it's got really great character development, and I recommend that too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. Are you looking forward to any of the movies coming out over this next blockbuster season? If so, what ones may you be looking forward to? Got to check it out.
Oh yeah,
You got Mandalorian. You've got Grogu. Did you see Project Hail Mary? Did you like that?
and it's one of those things where I novel. It was one of the best science fiction novels.
Yeah.
Uh, so I went in there, which is the wrong way to go see a movie with a sort of a chip on your shoulder. Like this better be good. Uh,
Yeah.
but I love the movie too. I think that a lot of the stuff that didn't translate in the movie that I loved about the book were sort of the engineering problem. How
You broke up there. You froze up. Can you hear me? Mark, can you hear me? Froze up there.
and the censored and danger.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, we
You're breaking up a little bit. You're back on now. I see you now.
hear me
You're good.
now?
You broke up for about 2 seconds, but you're back on now.
Am I
Can you
back?
hear me? No, you broke up a little bit there, but you're back on now. So you, Project Hail Mary, you went.
Great. So did you get all of
Yeah.
them, Mary?
So the movie you went in reading the
I
book,
can hear
hoping
you,
it
but
would be.
yeah, I got the connection
You're
lost.
breaking up your picture. Yeah. So the movie Project Hail Mary was great. I really liked that. I want to talk about comics. Your comic
Yeah,
Divine
my
for Forbidden Divine is a original creation. Is there gonna? You think there'll be once the Kickstarter, if successful? You think you do more issues or more continuation, and more stories to tell in that?
well, not for the Forgotten Divine. That's pretty much done. But I would definitely, if the Kickstarter works out, I would one shot story with AHOY, and number of them
Okay.
for them. So I've got a quiver full of arrows to choose from, but we would definitely do another care if this one.
Cool. Well, I got to ask, you do a lot of stuff in writing comics. Just curious, what advice would you give to people that are up and coming writers or creators in that ecosphere for pop culture and comics and all the cool stuff?
Say, write as much as you can. Don't sign you up to publish it, or whether or not you feel get good by continuing to write.
The comic book universe
Be okay
of the
with sucking it.
Yeah, you're breaking up there, but I heard what you said. The comic book universe of the Forbidden Divine.
And
You think y'all ever adapt that into anything
get better
beyond comics?
as you go.
Do you think you would ever adapt the Forbidden Divine into anything aside from comic books, like a television series, or maybe have you been talking maybe with anybody, or could maybe do that? Would you want to do that? Or?
You get discouraged and quit. It's sort of about being. It's sort of about saying, well, this is good and I believe in it. It's just not there yet, and then you will. Oh, definitely.
You're breaking up. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I have a number of projects that are being shopped around for TV and.
Which one? Anything you can mention?
And I think there's a lot of some of my stories I think would translate better to
okay.
I think some of my series would translate better.
You froze up there for a second. Can you hear me, Mark?
It's not the same as a film or a TV show, but they get an idea. Adapted. I'm writing for AHOY. Jesus Christ.
Okay. You're breaking up quite a bit there. Let's see. Well, right quick. Yeah, you're kind of fragmenting and breaking out in and out of signal. I don't know if it's where you're at or what's going on. But right quick, before we end the broadcast, is there a place people can find it? Is the Kickstarter the best place to check it out, to find out the Forbidden Divine? And when would they, if successful, when would they find it on AHOYcomics.com or? Mark, you there? Mark? I think we lost Mark, everybody. I don't see him. He froze up like a block of carbonite on the screen. I don't know if it's his connection or what's going on. But let me see here. He's typing here. It is very interesting. I like the book. I highly recommend the fans, when the Kickstarter goes live, I believe he said early June, to check that out, because it's a really, really cool book. I've got the first cover. That really haven't released the book, so they haven't released the art yet. But from the story he's telling about that book, I highly recommend you, the fans, checking it out. I want to thank you. If you can hear me, Mark, I want to thank you so much for being on this broadcast. Sorry about the connection issues. I don't know what's going on with it. We can try and bring you on one more time here. Let me see if I can. Spinning. He's got a bad signal. Well, everyone here at SciFiction wants to thank you for joining us, as well as you, the fans. And my name is Owen C. Cotter. Sorry about the last ending of the thing. Maybe we can bring on Mark again. I don't know what's going on with his connection. I apologize to the fans. I apologize if we had a little technical issue there. But yeah, thank you, fans, for joining us. Really cool book. I'm going to show the book one more time here on the screen. This is the book. You highly recommend checking this out. And this is the Kickstarter page for the, well, this is actually the book, but it's the book called The Forbidden Divine. There it is right there, The Forbidden Divine. And I recommend checking that out. My name is Owen C. Cotter, and you are watching SciFiction. Before we bring back on. I think Mark might actually be in there. Hold on, let me see if we can bring him back on. Mark, can you hear or see me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can.
There you are. That's better without the video. You're chopping up. We wanted to pump you up. I was hoping you'd come back. Yes, the fans are in here now. Yes, awesome. We have some questions, by the way. We appreciate and support real writers, Mark. Keep up the good work from Brookwoods Bechtel says that in the chat. Here's her comment there on the screen. I don't know if you could see that. It's on the bottom on the screen there. Can you see me or hear me?
Is there a question?
Yeah, no, yeah. They just were said they really appreciate the support real writers like you do and keep up the.
Thank you, Bert.
No problem, no problem. Well, I want to thank you for being on the broadcast. There's a lot of signal on your end, but I want to thank you, Mark. I'd like to bring you back once the book's out, or if you have any other projects as well. And the fans are really enjoying this broadcast too. I've got some comments here on the back burner.
That's great. Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Mark.
And I hope everyone will go to Kickstarter and.
Yes, let's show the Kickstarter. I will definitely tag that in the comments on the video. So thank you so much, Mark. You have a beautiful day. Okay, brother?